diesel gauge read 3/4 full when I hit the George Washington Bridge, which meant I had maybe 6 hours of idle time if I kept the engine running. Less if I needed to move. The Kenworth's cab smelled like the truck stop coffee I'd grabbed in Carlisle. Burnt and watery. The kind that costs $2.50 and tastes like someone strained it through yesterday's grounds. I'd been hauling refrigerated pharmaceuticals from Pittsburgh to a warehouse in Hackensack, running the overnight route because the pay was decent and traffic was supposed to be light. Supposed to be. The bridge stretched ahead like every other bridge I'd crossed in 18 years of driving, except for the part where nothing was moving. Not the cars. Not the people standing beside their vehicles, staring east toward Manhattan like they were waiting for someone to tell them what to do. The CB crackled with static and voices talking over each other, none of them making sense. I kept my hands on the wheel even though the truck wasn't going anywhere, because that's what you do when you don't know what else to do. Manhattan's side completely blocked. Repeat, do not. My wife's in Teaneck. I just need to get across. Saw them climb over the Jersey barrier near Tower 2. The emergency alert had come through my phone maybe 10 minutes earlier. Bridgeway closed. Do not attempt to cross, which was real helpful considering I was already on the damn bridge. The second alert came 5 minutes after that. Remain in vehicles. Infected on both sides. That word, infected, that was new. The radio news out of Philly had been talking about riots in Newark, some kind of outbreak at University Hospital, but nobody'd said infected. Nobody'd said stay in your vehicle like something outside wanted to get in. I adjusted the side mirror, checked the load straps out of habit even though I wasn't going anywhere. The trailer held 40 pallets of insulin and blood thinners, temperature controlled at 38 degrees. The refrigeration unit hummed its steady drone, burning fuel I might need later. Might need soon, actually, depending on how long remain in vehicles meant. A Honda Civic 2 lanes over had its driver's door open. A guy in a Yankees cap stood beside it, phone pressed to his ear, gesturing like whoever he was talking to could see him. Behind him, someone was screaming, high-pitched, desperate, the kind of sound that makes your hindbrain sit up and take notice even when you're trying to ignore it. The guy with the Yankees cap turned toward the sound, then got back in his car real quick. Door slam echoed across 6 lanes of stopped traffic. The CB crackled again. Breaker, breaker. This is roadkill on Channel 19. Anybody got eyes on what's blocking the Manhattan exit? I picked up the handset. Force of habit, you respond when someone asks for information, that's how it works. This is graveyard shift. I'm about quarter-mile from the Manhattan Tower. Looks like vehicles piled up. Can't see past them. Copy that, graveyard. You see any of them? Them. Like I was supposed to know what that meant. See any of what? The infected. The biters. Whatever the hell they're calling them. Biters. Jesus. I checked the mirrors again. Both sides, the one mounted on the hood that shows you the blind spot beside the cab. Nothing but stopped cars and people standing around looking confused. The Palisades rose up on the Jersey side, the cliffs that gave the parkway its name. Manhattan's skyline cut the eastern horizon like broken teeth. Everything looked normal except for the part where 6 lanes of bridge traffic had turned into a parking lot and someone on the CB was asking about biters. Negative on the biters, I said, which felt ridiculous coming out of my mouth. Just stop traffic and people getting out of their cars. Well, don't join him. Stay buttoned up. Copy that. I hung up the handset, checked the door locks even though I'd already locked them. The Kenworth's cab sat high enough that I could see over most of the passenger vehicles around me. A FedEx van 3 trucks ahead, couple of sedans, a Subaru with Pennsylvania plates and a bike rack on top. Normal Tuesday morning traffic that should have been flowing at 60 miles per hour, not sitting dead stopped while someone on the CB talked about biters. My phone buzzed. Text from dispatch. You stuck on GWB? News saying nobody in or out. Call when you can. I tried calling. Got that fast busy that means the cell network's overloaded. Tried again. Same thing. The CB was working, at least old technology, simple technology, the kind that doesn't care if everyone and their mother is trying to call 911 at the same time. Hudson side's clear. I can see. Wait. No, someone just ran past my truck. They're not slowing down, why aren't they? Told you to stay in the goddamn car. The screaming started closer this time. 2 lanes over, maybe 3 cars ahead. I couldn't see what was happening, but I could hear it. Snarling that didn't sound human, metal scraping metal. Someone begging, please, please, please in that tone that means they already know it won't help. The Yankees cap guy reversed his Civic, clipped the bumper of the car behind him, reversed again, trying to make space where there wasn't any. That's when I saw the first one. She came from between a minivan and a Camry business suit, heels, the kind of outfit you wear to an early meeting. Except her blouse was torn, and there was something wrong with her face. Something dark and wet around her mouth that I didn't want to look at too closely. She moved wrong. Too fast and too jerky. Like her joints weren't quite connected right. She went straight for the Yankees cap guy who'd gotten out of his Civic again. Stupid, so goddamn stupid, and was trying to push another car out of his way. He never saw her coming. Neither did I, not really. By the time my brain processed what I was seeing, she'd already knocked him down. The Civic's driver's door hung open like a mouth. I looked away before I could see anything else, but the sounds told me enough. Told me too much, actually. The CB exploded with traffic. Jesus Christ, they're everywhere. Doors locked, doors locked, doors locked. Somebody help him. I grabbed the handset, hands shaking. This is graveyard shift to any official channel. We need police on the GW bridge right now. We've got... What did we have? What was I supposed to call this? We've got people attacking other people. We need help. Static. Then, graveyard shift. This is Dispatcher 12 on emergency channel. All units are engaged. Maintain your position and do not exit your vehicle. What's happening? What are they? Maintain your position. More information will be provided when... The transmission cut out. The CB filled with civilian voices. Everyone talking at once. Nobody listening. I set the handset down because my hands needed something to do and checked all 3 mirrors again. The woman in the business suit was standing now, something dark dripping from her hands. The Yankees cap guy wasn't moving. His Civic sat there with its door open and engine running, going nowhere. The Kenworth's engine rumbled beneath me, steady and familiar. 3/4 tank. 6 hours, maybe less. The refrigeration unit keeping 40 pallets of insulin at 38 degrees while the world outside decided to end. I didn't get paid enough for this shit. The CB chatter sorted itself out after maybe 20 minutes. The panic voices, the ones screaming about biters and infected and oh god, those faded out first. Either people figured out that screaming didn't help, or they stopped being able to scream. I didn't want to think too hard about which. What was left were the practical voices. The ones asking questions, offering information, trying to figure out what the hell was happening and what to do about it. Roadkill here. I count maybe 30 of them on the Manhattan side. They're not organized, just wandering between vehicles. Anybody got through to 911? Cell towers are fried. My phone's got nothing. I picked up the handset again. This is graveyard shift. I've got clear sight line from the truck cab. I can relay positions if someone's keeping track. A different voice came back, calmer than the others. Older, maybe. Copy that, graveyard. This is Bedford calling from a Volvo sedan, about 8th car back from the Manhattan Tower. Appreciate the eyes. What's your situation? Kenworth 18-wheeler, refrigerated trailer, sitting in the center lane quarter-mile from the tower. Diesel's at 3/4. I've got 6 hours if I keep idling, less if I need to move. I checked the mirrors again. The business suit woman had wandered off toward the Jersey side, following something I couldn't see. Looks like the infected are congregating near the exits. Manhattan side's definitely blocked. Jersey side too. Bedford said. I walked back before it got bad. There's a pileup at the toll plaza, maybe 50 cars deep. Nobody's getting through that way either. So we were trapped. 6 lanes of bridge spanning the Hudson, a mile and change of suspended roadway with nowhere to go. I did the math without meaning to: how many vehicles between me and each exit, how much space between them, whether there was any way to move the pileup blocking our way out. The answer was no. Not without heavy equipment. Not without time we didn't have. How many people we got? Someone new asked. How many still in vehicles? Voices responded, overlapping, trying to count. Bedford's voice cut through. Let's organize this. Everyone's still in a vehicle. Sound off with your position and what you're driving. We need to know what we're working with. They did. Slowly, carefully, people started identifying themselves. Not their names, we were handles, all of us, the way truckers always are. Roadkill in a Peterbilt. Bedford in the Volvo. Tin Man in a Subaru Forester.
Nightingale in a FedEx van.
Maybe 20 voices total, scattered across 6 lanes and half a mile of bridge. Trapped between the infected on both sides and the Hudson River 400 feet below. All right, Bedford said when everyone checked in. Here's what we know. Both exits are blocked. Cell service is down. The infected seem to be attracted to movement and noise. Anyone got anything to add? The emergency alert said, remain in vehicles, I said. That means someone official knows we're here. Maybe they're working on getting us out. Or maybe they wrote us off, Roadkill said. You see any rescue helicopters? Any police? We're on our own. The CB went quiet for a moment. Just static and the distant sounds of the bridge. Wind through the suspension cables, the occasional car alarm, something that might have been screaming or might have been seagulls. Hard to tell. Didn't want to know, actually. Tin Man spoke up. I've got maybe 4 gallons left in my tank. If we're idling for 6 hours, I won't make it. I've got a quarter tank, Nightingale said. But the van's diesel, and I don't know if that helps. It helps, I said before I could stop myself. Diesel engines can idle a long time on not much fuel. You'll outlast most of the gas engines here. What about your truck? Bedford asked. You said 6 hours? Give or take, but I'm running a reefer unit refrigeration for the cargo. That burns fuel on top of the engine idle. I could shut it down, stretch the diesel further. What are you hauling? Pharmaceuticals, insulin, blood thinners, stuff that needs to stay cold. I checked the temperature readout on the dash, still holding at 38 degrees. It's worth about 200 grand, and if it warms up, it's worthless. How long before it warms up? Without the reefer? Maybe 8 hours, depending on ambient temperature. I looked at the early morning sun just starting to burn through the haze over Manhattan. October in New York meant cool days, but the trailer wasn't exactly a freezer. Less if it gets hot. Bedford was quiet for a moment. Then, keep the reefer running for now. We might need that medicine if we're here longer than we think. Copy that. The CB chatter continued, people taking inventory of what they had, what they needed, how long they could last. Nightingale had food in the FedEx van, packages bound for restaurants that wouldn't be getting delivered today. Roadkill had a toolbox and a CB radio with better range than most. Tin Man had a first aid kit and a case of water bottles. Everyone had something. Nobody had a way off the bridge. We need a plan, Bedford said eventually. Sitting here until the fuel runs out isn't a plan. It's just dying slowly. What's the alternative? Someone asked. Make a run for it? You've seen what happens to people who get out of their cars. I'm not saying we run. I'm saying we need options. We need to know if there's a way to clear one of the exits, or if we can signal for help or something. Anything other than waiting. I checked the mirrors again. The infected were still wandering between vehicles, but they seemed random, purposeless. like they were looking for something but didn't remember what. One of them, a guy in a construction vest, kept walking into the side of a Prius, bouncing off, walking into it again. No intelligence behind it, just movement. "They're drawn to noise," I said into the CB. "Anyone else notice that?" "Yeah," Roadkill confirmed. "Earlier, someone laid on their horn, and about 6 of them came running. Well, not running exactly, but moving faster than they were before." "So we stay quiet," Nightingale said. "Keep our heads down, wait for rescue." "And if rescue doesn't come?" Nobody had an answer for that. The sun climbed higher. The bridge stretched empty in both directions, a ribbon of asphalt suspended over dark water. The Kenworth's engine rumbled its steady rhythm, burning diesel I might need later, keeping medicine cold that might save lives if we ever got off this bridge alive. My stomach reminded me I hadn't eaten since the truck stop in Carlisle. I had a protein bar in the glove box and a warm Gatorade in the cup holder. Breakfast of champions. I ate the protein bar in small bites, making it last, because I didn't know when I'd get another one. The CB crackled. Bedford's voice. "Graveyard shift, you said you can see from up there. What's the farthest you can see in either direction?" I stood up in the cab, awkward in the small space, but it gave me a better angle through the windshield. "Manhattan side. I can see maybe 300 yards past the tower. There's a barricade of some kind. Looks like police vehicles, but nobody manning them. Jersey side." I twisted to look through the rear window. "Can't see much past the curve in the bridge. Definitely vehicle pileup at the toll plaza. Any way over the barricade on the Manhattan side?" "Not without clearing it, and getting past 30 infected to reach it." Damn it. I sat back down, checked the fuel gauge out of habit. Still 3/4. Still 6 hours, give or take. The CB chatter had dropped to occasional check-ins, people confirming they were still alive, still waiting. The bridge settled into an eerie quiet broken only by wind and the distant sounds of the city beyond. Sirens, maybe, or car alarms. Hard to tell what was normal city noise and what was the world ending. My phone buzzed. Text from dispatch again. News saying GWB is a loss. If you're alive, let us know. A loss, like the bridge was a chess piece someone decided wasn't worth saving. I typed back, alive. Stuck. Working on it. The message failed to send. Cell service was truly cooked. "Bedford, this is Graveyard," I said into the CB. "I think we need to accept that nobody's coming for us. Not today, maybe not tomorrow. We're on our own." Silence on the channel. Then Bedford's voice, quieter than before. "Yeah, I think you're right. So what do? We survive. We figure out how to get off this bridge before the fuel runs out and those things figure out we're here. And we do it together, because alone we're dead." "Copy that," I said and meant it. The bridge stretched ahead, a mile of trapped vehicles and wandering infected and people hiding in their cars hoping someone would save them. But Bedford was right, nobody was coming. We were the only rescue we were going to get. Bedford organized it like a military operation, which made me think maybe he'd done this before. Not the trapped on a bridge during an outbreak thing, obviously, but the coordinate people under pressure thing. He assigned sectors Manhattan approach, center span, Jersey approach, and had people in each sector report what they could see, what they had, what they needed. I got assigned spotting duty, which made sense given the height of the Kenworth's cab. Every 15 minutes I'd do a full scan, mirrors, windshield, rear window, and report movement of the infected. They were getting more active as the sun climbed higher, but still random.
No coordination.
Just wandering. Graveyard shift to Bedford. I've got 3 infected moving east on the center lanes. They're about 200 yards ahead of me. Doesn't look like they're heading toward any vehicles. Copy that, Graveyard. Everyone in the center section. Maintain quiet, no unnecessary movement. The CB chatter had evolved into something almost professional. People using proper radio protocol, keeping transmissions short, confirming receipt. We'd become a unit without meaning to, bound together by chrome and asphalt and the shared understanding that we were probably going to die here unless we got very lucky or very smart. Nightingale keyed up. "I've got a problem. The van's overheating. Temperature gauge is climbing." "You idling?" I asked. "Yeah, for the AC. It's getting hot in here." "Shut off the AC, crack the windows. You're going to burn through coolant running AC at idle, and if the engine seizes, you've got no mobility at all. It's 80 degrees in this van. It's going to be a lot hotter if you're stuck here with no engine. Trust me. Crack the windows, suffer through it." A pause. Then, "Copy that." Bedford came back on. "We need to think about long-term sustainability. Graveyard, how long will that medication stay good if you shut down the reefer?" I checked the temperature readout again. 38 degrees, exactly where it needed to be. "Depends. If I shut it down now while it's still cool, the trailer's insulated enough to hold cold for maybe 6-8 hours. But once it warms up past 50 degrees, the insulin's going to start degrading. Blood thinners might last longer, but it's all temperature sensitive." "And your fuel situation?" "I can run for 6 hours on what I've got, but that's with the reefer pulling power. Shut the reefer down, I can probably stretch that to 12, maybe 15 hours if I'm careful. So we've got a choice. Keep the medicine cold for now and run out of fuel sooner, or save fuel and lose the medicine. That's about the size of it." Tin Man cut in. "What good is medicine if we're all dead? Save the fuel, shut the reefer down." "What good is fuel if we make it off the bridge and people die because we don't have insulin?" Roadkill countered. "My daughter's diabetic. That medicine might save her life." The CB went silent. Personal stakes, the kind that make decisions complicated. I understood both sides. Save the diesel and we might have mobility when we needed it. Keep the reefer running and we might have medicine for later. No good answer, just different ways to gamble with other people's lives. "Keep it running," Bedford said finally. "For now. But Graveyard, you start hitting half a tank, we revisit this." "Agreed." "Agreed." I checked the fuel gauge. Still 3/4. Still time to make a better decision later, assuming we survived long enough for later to matter. The CB traffic continued. People reporting their situations, their resources, their fears. A Toyota Camry near the Manhattan Tower had half a case of energy drinks. A Honda Pilot on the Jersey side had a car seat and a diaper bag but no baby. The driver's voice cracked when she mentioned it. Said her daughter was with her mother in Englewood. Hoped to God they were okay. Roadkill had tools and mechanical knowledge. Tin Man had medical training. He'd been an EMT before whatever job he had now. We were more than just trap drivers. We were a community, accidental and desperate, but a community nonetheless. "All right," Bedford said after everyone checked in. "Here's what I'm thinking. We can't clear the exits with what we've got. We can't call for help. We can't fight our way through 30 infected with bare hands. But we might be able to make noise somewhere else on the bridge, draw them away from one exit and then make a run for it." "That's suicide," someone said. "Sitting here until we run out of fuel is also suicide, just slower. Anyone got a better idea?" Nobody did. The CB crackled with static and breathing and the sound of people thinking through an impossible situation looking for a possible answer. "How do we make noise without getting killed?" Nightingale asked. "Car alarms," Roadkill said. "Set off every car alarm in one section, draw the infected there, then everyone in the other section makes a break for the exit." "Who sets off the alarms?" "Whoever's furthest from the exit we're trying to clear. They stay in their vehicle, hit their panic button, let the alarm run. The infected swarm that area, we clear the opposite exit." And what happens to whoever's setting off the alarms? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Nobody responded, because the answer was obvious. Whoever stayed behind to make noise was probably not getting off the bridge alive. Distraction works because the thing being distracted is focused on the distraction. And when that thing is infected people who want to rip you apart, being the distraction is a death sentence. We'd need volunteers, Bedford said quietly. People willing to stay behind so others can escape. The CB stayed silent for a long minute. I checked the mirrors. The infected were still wandering, still aimless. One of them was trying to climb over the Jersey barrier, kept falling back, trying again. No intelligence, just hunger or instinct or whatever drove them. "I'll do it," Roadkill said. "I'm closest to the Manhattan exit anyway." I set off alarms. "Draw them east. You all run west toward Jersey." "That's my daughter's in Teaneck. If I don't make it, but you do, someone find her. Tell her I tried." My throat went tight. I keyed the handset. "We're not there yet. We've got fuel, we've got time. Let's not plan anyone's death until we've exhausted every other option." "Agreed," Bedford said. "We table the alarm plan for now, but we need to start thinking about how to survive this. Food, water, fuel, we need to pool resources, figure out who needs what." The conversation shifted to logistics. Who had food, who didn't? Who had water, who was running low? Nightingale's FedEx van had some supplies, but nothing that would feed 20 people for more than a day. I had the protein bar wrapper in my pocket and the empty Gatorade bottle in my cup holder. My stomach growled, but I ignored it. Hunger was a tomorrow problem. Today's problem was staying alive until tomorrow existed. "Graveyard, this is Tin Man. You said you're a quarter-mile from the Manhattan Tower." "Roughly, yeah." "Can you see the pedestrian walkway from there? The one that runs along the south side?" I checked. The walkway ran parallel to the bridge roadway, separated by a barrier, meant for bikes and pedestrians, though I doubted anyone was walking the GWB today. "I can see it." "Why?" "If someone could get to the walkway, they could move along the bridge without being on the roadway. Maybe scout ahead, see if there's a way down on the Manhattan side." "The walkway's accessible from the roadway in a few places," Bedford said, "but you'd have to get out of your vehicle to reach it. In broad daylight, with infected everywhere. It's an option. An option, like volunteering to set off car alarms. An option that would probably get someone killed but might give everyone else a chance." I was starting to see a pattern in our options. The sun kept climbing. My fuel gauge hadn't moved. I'd only been idling for maybe 2 hours. The needle wouldn't shift for a while yet. But I could feel it burning, that slow consumption of diesel that meant finite time, limited choices. 6 hours, then 5, then 4, then what? "Bedford," I said into the CB. "What do you do? In real life, I mean, before this?" A pause. Then, Army, retired, infantry officer. "You?" "Truck driver, 18 years, no accidents, no violations." I checked the mirrors again out of habit. "Why'd you retire?" "Got old, got tired, figured I'd done my time." Another pause. "Guess I was wrong about that." The CB chatter faded to occasional check-ins after that. People conserving battery power, or maybe just tired of talking about how trapped we were. I sat in the Kenworth's cab watching the fuel gauge, watching the temperature readout on the reefer, watching the infected wander between vehicles like they were looking for car keys they'd lost. The bridge stretched ahead, empty and full at the same time. A mile of stopped vehicles containing 20 people who'd woken up this morning thinking they'd get to work, get home, get on with their lives. Now we were counting fuel and rationing words and trying to figure out which of us was going to die so the others could live. I didn't get paid enough for this shit. But then, I don't think anyone did. The fuel gauge hit 3/4 just after noon. I'd been idling for 4 hours, the reefer running steady, the temperature holding at 38 degrees. 2 hours of diesel left before I'd need to make the choice about shutting down the refrigeration. 2 hours before the medicine started warming up and the clock started ticking faster. Graveyard to Bedford. I'm at the decision point. Fuel's getting low. Bedford's voice came back tired. What's your recommendation? I looked at the temperature readout, at the gauge, at the insulin worth 200 grand that might save someone's life if we ever got off this bridge. Shut it down. We need mobility more than we need cold medicine right now. The trailer will hold temperature for a few hours. If we're still here after that, the medicine won't matter anyway because we'll be dead. Copy that. Shut it down. I flipped the switch. The reefer unit's steady hum died, leaving just the truck's engine idle and the wind through the suspension cables. The temperature readout started climbing immediately. 39 degrees, 40, 41. The trailer's insulation would slow it down, but physics didn't care about desperation. Heat was going to win eventually. Fuel situation? Bedford asked the group. Responses came in one by one. Roadkill had maybe an hour left. Nightingale had 3, maybe 4 if she was careful. Tin Man was already running on fumes, had shut his engine off entirely, and was sitting in the Subaru with the windows cracked. The others fell somewhere in between, enough fuel to idle through the afternoon, but not through the night. By tomorrow morning, most of us would be sitting in dead vehicles with no power, no mobility, no options. We're out of time, Roadkill said. We need to try the alarm plan, now while we still have fuel to move. Who volunteers? Someone asked. Silence on the CB, because volunteering meant staying behind, meant drawing the infected to your position, meant probably dying so others could live. Noble in theory, terrifying in practice. I already said I'd do it, Roadkill insisted. I'm closest to Manhattan anyway. Makes sense. It makes sense for someone with fuel, I said before I could stop myself. You've got maybe an hour. If the alarms don't work fast enough, you're stuck with a dead engine and no way out. Then we better hope they work fast. Bedford cut in. Before anyone volunteers for anything, let's talk this through. If we set off alarms on the Manhattan side, draw the infected east, how long do we have to clear the Jersey exit before they come back? 10 minutes, Tin Man guessed. Maybe 15 if we're lucky? And how long to move 50 cars out of a pileup? Nobody answered, because the answer was longer than 15 minutes, probably longer than an hour. The Jersey exit was blocked by vehicles that had crashed or stalled or been abandoned, and moving them would require pushing, pulling, coordinating. All things that took time we didn't have and made noise we couldn't afford. So the alarm plan doesn't work, Nightingale said. What's plan B? The pedestrian walkway, Tin Man offered. Someone scouts ahead on foot, finds a way down on the Manhattan side. We coordinate a mass movement while the infected are distracted. Distracted by what? By whoever's scouting. They make noise, draw them off, we move. Same plan, different volunteer. Same sacrifice, different justification. I was starting to understand why military officers got paid to make these decisions. Someone had to choose who lived and who died, and living with that choice afterward was its own kind of hell. I'll scout, a new voice said, female, younger than most of us. I didn't recognize the handle. She'd been quiet during most of the CB chatter. I'm in a Mazda with maybe 2 hours of fuel left. I'm young, I'm fast, I can climb. Let me try. What's your name? Bedford asked. Raven. I'm a bike courier in Manhattan. I know the GWB pedestrian walkway. I've ridden it 100 times. If there's a way down, I can find it. And if the infected see you, then I run. That's what couriers do, we're good at running. The CB went quiet, everyone thinking the same thing. Letting a kid, because she sounded like a kid, early 20s at most, volunteer to scout while we sat in our vehicles was wrong. But what was the alternative? We were all volunteers now, volunteers for survival, and someone had to go first. Raven, I said into the handset, you get on that walkway, you stay low, stay quiet. The second you see infected, you turn around and get back to your vehicle. Understood. Understood. And Raven, Bedford added, thank you. For everyone here, thank you. Don't thank me until I'm back. We coordinated the scout. Raven was in the center section, about 3 cars behind Tin Man's Subaru. The walkway access was 50 yards west of her position. She'd need to get out of her car, move between vehicles, reach the access point, and climb onto the walkway without drawing infected. Then scout east toward Manhattan, see if there was a way down from the bridge, and report back via CB. Simple, terrifying, probably fatal. Everyone in the center section, maintain absolute silence, Bedford ordered. No engines, no movement. We don't give the infected any reason to look in Raven's direction. I shut off the Kenworth's engine. The sudden silence was deafening. No diesel rumble, no reefer hum, just wind and distant city noise and my own breathing. The cab felt smaller without the engine's vibration, more confined. I checked the mirrors. The infected were clustered near the exits like Bedford had said, drawn to the vehicle concentration. The center of the bridge was relatively clear. Relatively. Raven to all units. I'm exiting my vehicle now. I watched through the windshield. Couldn't see her. She was too far back. But I could imagine it. Car door opening slowly, carefully. Feet on pavement. The moment of exposure when anything could happen. Then movement between vehicles, using them for cover, working toward the walkway access. Minutes passed like hours. The CB stayed silent except for breathing. Someone was praying quietly, words I couldn't make out. Someone else was crying, trying to muffle it. I kept checking the mirrors. The infected were still distant, still aimless, still dangerous. I'm at the access point. Raven's voice came through, barely above a whisper. There's a gate, but it's not locked. I'm going over. More silence, more waiting. The sun beat down on the Kenworth's cab, turning it into a greenhouse. Sweat ran down my back. My mouth tasted like copper and fear. The trailer's temperature readout showed 45 degrees now, warming faster than I'd hoped. The insulin would start degrading soon. I tried not to think about Roadkill's daughter, about whether she'd need that insulin, about whether any of this would matter. I'm on the walkway, Raven said, moving east. There are a few infected on the roadway below me, but they're not looking up. I think I'm clear. Copy that, Raven, Bedford said. Stay low, keep moving. Report every 2 minutes. The CB crackled with her breathing. Heavy, scared, but controlled. Professional. The kind of breathing you do when you're pushing through fear because the alternative is giving up, and giving up means dying. I'd heard that breathing before, from drivers who'd lost their brakes on mountain grades, from dispatchers talking people through accidents. It's the sound of someone who knows they might die but refuses to accept it yet. 200 yards out, Raven said. I can see the Manhattan Tower from here. There's bodies. A lot of bodies. Stay focused, Bedford said. We need to know if there's a way down. Looking, there's a stairwell access on the Manhattan side, but it's, oh shit. Raven, there's infected on the walkway, 3 of them heading toward me. My hands gripped the steering wheel even though the engine was off. Through the windshield I could see movement on the walkway, small figures distant. Too far to help, too close to run. Raven, can you get past them? Negative. They're between me and the stairwell. I'm turning back. Move fast but don't run. Running triggers them. Copy that. The breathing got heavier. I watched the walkway, watched the figures moving. Couldn't tell which was Raven and which were infected. The suspension cables hummed in the wind. Someone on the CB was praying again. Louder now. The Toyota Camry's driver, maybe. I wanted to tell him to shut up. That prayer wasn't going to help, but I didn't. Maybe prayer was all he had left. "They're following me," Raven said, voice tight. "Not fast, but they're definitely following." "How far to the access point?" "100 yards, maybe less." "You're going to make it." "They're getting faster." The CB exploded with static and screaming. Not Raven's voice, someone else's. One of the drivers in the center section had seen something, had panicked, had started their engine. The sound of it carried across the bridge like a dinner bell. "Shut it off," Bedford roared. "Shut your goddamn engine off." Too late. The infected on the roadway turned toward the sound, started moving. Not wandering anymore, moving with purpose. The ones on the walkway forgot about Raven, focused on the noise below. She didn't waste the opportunity. I saw her sprint the last 50 yards to the access point, vault over the gate, disappear from view. "I'm clear," she gasped into the CB. "I'm back at my car." "Everyone stay quiet," Bedford ordered. Raven drew them off, but they're still active. Nobody moves. Nobody makes a sound. The infected swarmed the center section. Not all of them, maybe 10, 15. They moved between vehicles, drawn by the engine noise that had already shut off. Confused now, looking for the source. One of them pressed against the window of the Honda Pilot, the one with the car seat. The driver inside screamed. The infected tried to get in, clawing at the glass. "Don't open your door," Bedford said, calm despite everything. "The glass will hold. Just stay quiet and they'll move on." But they didn't move on. More came, drawn by the commotion, by the sound of clawing and the driver's muffled screams. 20 infected now. 30. They surrounded the Honda Pilot like sharks around chum. "We have to help her," someone said. "How?" Roadkill shot back. "We get out of our cars, we're dead too. She stays quiet, stays inside, they'll lose interest." "And if they don't?" Nobody answered, because the answer was, then she dies and we watch and we live with that. Another choice nobody wanted to make. Another person sacrificed so the rest could survive maybe one more hour. The Honda Pilot's windows held. The driver stopped screaming. Maybe passed out, maybe just accepted her fate. The infected kept clawing, kept trying, but safety glass is designed to withstand impact. It was holding, for now. "Raven," I said into the CB, keeping my voice low. "What did you see before they came? Is there a way off the Manhattan side?" "There's a stairwell, leads down to street level, but it's blocked. There's infected at the bottom, maybe 20 of them. We'd have to fight through." "What about the Jersey side? Anyone scout that direction?" Silence. Nobody'd gone west. We'd all been focused on Manhattan because that's where the city was, where help should have been coming from. But help wasn't coming from Manhattan. Maybe it was coming from Jersey, or maybe it wasn't coming at all. "I'll check the Jersey approach," I said before I could think better of it. "I'm in the truck cab, I've got height. I can see further than most of you." "You get out of that truck and you're dead," Bedford said. "I'm not getting out, just climbing up on the cab roof for a better view. Maybe I can see something." "You're burning daylight and diesel for maybe. We need definite." "Then someone else volunteer a better plan." No response, because there wasn't a better plan. We were trapped on a bridge with infected on both sides and dwindling fuel and no rescue coming. Better plan didn't exist. Only less terrible plans. Only choices about how we wanted to die. I restarted the Kenworth's engine. The rumble felt good, familiar, controlled. I checked the mirrors, confirmed the infected were still clustered around the Honda Pilot in the center section. My truck was further west, relatively clear. The risk was manageable, relatively. "I'm moving," I said into the CB. Roadkill, you watch the Manhattan side. Anyone sees infected coming my direction, you sing out. Copy that, graveyard. I opened the cab door slowly. The afternoon air hit me, warm, smelling like diesel and river water and something else. Something rotten. The bridge deck stretched away in both directions, gray concrete and yellow lines and abandoned vehicles. The Palisades rose to the north, their cliff face indifferent. The Hudson flowed below, 400 feet of empty air between me and dark water. I climbed onto the truck's hood, then up to the cab roof. The metal was hot under my hands, soaking up October sun. From up here I could see the whole bridge, the span of it, the scope of it, the magnitude of how fucked we were. Vehicles everywhere, infected everywhere. And beyond the Jersey Toll Plaza, the parkway stretched north through forest and suburb, empty and waiting. Graveyard to Bedford, I'm on the cab roof, looking west. What do you see? The pileup at the toll plaza is bad. Maybe 60 vehicles all compressed together. But past that, I shaded my eyes, tried to focus. Past that, the parkway looks clear. If we could get through the toll plaza, we might have a chance. How do we get through 60 crashed cars? We push. We coordinate. We use the vehicles with fuel to move the ones without. I was making it up as I went, trying to see a solution in the wreckage. It's not pretty, but it might work. How long? Hours. Maybe more. We'd need every vehicle with fuel, every person willing to help push. And we'd need to do it without drawing every infected on the bridge. Bedford was quiet, calculating probably, running the numbers the way officers do when they're deciding which hill is worth dying on. The CB crackled with distant voices. Someone crying, someone praying, someone making promises to people who probably couldn't hear them. It's not a good plan, Bedford said finally, but it's the only plan we've got. Everyone listening, we're going to attempt a coordinated push through the Jersey Toll Plaza. Anyone with fuel, start your engines on my mark. Anyone without fuel, get ready to push. We do this together or we don't do it at all. What about the infected? Tin Man asked. We make noise. We draw them. We hope most of them are too far away to reach us before we're through. And the ones that do reach us, Bedford paused. We deal with them. Deal with them. Nice euphemism for fighting hand-to-hand with infected people who wanted to tear us apart. I climbed down from the cab roof, dropped back into the driver's seat. The Kenworth's engine was still running, still burning my precious diesel. But we were committed now, moving forward or dying trying. Graveyard shift ready, I said into the CB. Other voices confirmed. Roadkill ready. Nightingale ready. Tin Man ready. One by one, the drivers who'd become a community agreed to try. Agreed to risk everything on a push through wreckage toward a parkway that might be clear or might be full of more infected or might lead nowhere at all. Bedford counted down. 3, 2, 1, mark. Engines roared to life across the bridge. The sound was enormous. Dozens of vehicles starting at once. A symphony of combustion and desperation. The infected reacted immediately. They turned away from the Honda Pilot, away from their aimless wandering, toward the noise, toward us. Here they come, Roadkill shouted. Everyone move west. Stay in your vehicles. Don't stop for anything. I put the Kenworth in gear and started rolling. The truck was slow to accelerate. 40 tons of weight doesn't move quickly, but it moved. Around me, other vehicles were doing the same. The FedEx van, the Subaru, the Volvo with Bedford inside. We were a convoy now, a desperate migration toward the Jersey side while behind us the infected gave chase. The speedometer climbed to 10 miles per hour. 15, 20. The toll plaza loomed ahead, a wall of wreckage and twisted metal and shattered glass. I downshifted, felt the engine strain. The Kenworth's bumper hit the first wrecked car and shoved it aside like a toy. The trailer fishtailed but held. I kept pushing. Graveyard, you've got infected on your 6, someone shouted. I checked the mirror. They were there, running now, actually running, faster than they'd moved before. Maybe a dozen of them. Maybe more. 50 yards back. 40. 30. Someone with fuel needs to block them, Bedford ordered. Create a barrier. I've got it. Nightingale's voice. The FedEx van swerved sideways across 3 lanes, blocking the roadway. The infected slammed into it, clawing, trying to get around, buying us time we probably didn't deserve. Nightingale, get out of there. Can't. Engine died. Just go. Get through the plaza. The Kenworth's bumper connected with another wrecked car. This one didn't move, too heavy, wedged against others. I reversed, tried a different angle. The trailer jackknifed slightly. The refrigeration unit's temperature alarm started beeping. 55 degrees now. Climbing fast. The insulin was degrading. In a few hours, it would be worthless. I need help up here, I shouted into the CB. I can't push through alone. Roadkill's Peterbilt pulled up beside me, his rig adding its weight to mine. Together we pushed, metal screaming against metal. The wrecked cars shifted, creating a gap. Maybe wide enough, maybe not. Smaller vehicles, thread through, Bedford ordered. Bigger trucks keep pushing. The Subaru went first, squeezing through the gap with inches to spare. Then the Volvo. Then others, one by one, escaping the bridge while behind them the infected swarmed over the FedEx van. I couldn't see Nightingale anymore, couldn't hear her on the CB. She'd bought us time with her life, and we were using it to run. Graveyard, you're clear, Roadkill said. Go now. I shifted into gear, aimed the Kenworth at the gap. The truck was too wide, the mirrors would hit, the trailer would catch. But I didn't have a choice. I hit the gas, heard metal tear as the mirrors ripped off, felt the trailer scrape against wreckage. The Kenworth lurched forward, through the gap, onto the clear parkway beyond. Behind me, Roadkill was pushing through in his Peterbilt. Behind him, the infected were climbing over the FedEx van, still coming. Bedford's Volvo was through.
Tin Man's Subaru.
Maybe 10 vehicles total had made it. The rest were still on the bridge, out of fuel, trapped, or already torn apart by the infected who'd caught them. Keep moving, Bedford shouted. Don't stop until we're off the parkway. I didn't stop. None of us did. We drove north on the Palisades Parkway while behind us the GW Bridge sat choked with dead vehicles and dead people and infected that would never stop hunting. We drove until the fuel gauges hit empty, until the engines died, until we couldn't run anymore. We'd escaped. Some of us. Not enough of us. But some. The Kenworth died 2 miles north of the bridge, rolling to a stop on the shoulder of the parkway near exit 2. The fuel gauge read empty. The temperature alarm was screaming. 68 degrees in the trailer now. The insulin was ruined. $200,000 of medication cooking in an aluminum box because we'd needed the diesel more than we'd needed cold medicine. I shut off the ignition, sat in the quiet cab, and waited for something to happen. Nothing did. The parkway stretched north through autumn trees showing early color. The sky was still blue. Birds were still singing. The world hadn't ended. Just our world. The small bubble of normal we'd been living in since yesterday. The CB crackled. Bedford's voice. Everyone who made it, sound off. They did. Roadkill.
Tin Man.
Raven. Bedford himself. Maybe 6 others whose handles I'd learned over the course of 8 hours trapped on a bridge. 10 of us total. Out of the 20 who'd started. 50% casualties for a military operation. Unacceptable losses for people just trying to get to work. We need to find shelter, Bedford said. Get off the parkway, find somewhere defensible. There's a rest stop at exit 3, maybe a mile north. Anyone with fuel left, head there. Anyone without fuel, start walking. I had no fuel. The Kenworth sat dead on the shoulder, 40 pallets of worthless insulin in the trailer. I grabbed my go bag from behind the seat, change of clothes, toiletries, the empty Gatorade bottle I'd been meaning to throw away. Everything I owned in the world was either in this bag or in a storage unit in Pittsburgh I'd probably never see again. I climbed down from the cab. My legs were shaky, too long sitting, too much adrenaline, not enough food or water or sleep. The parkway pavement felt strange under my boots, solid and real after hours of bridge suspension. The air smelled like pine and diesel exhaust. Normal. Catastrophically normal. Raven's Mazda pulled up beside me, engine sputtering. Need a ride? I looked at the Kenworth one last time. 18 years, no accidents, and I was abandoning a truck full of cargo on the side of the road. Dispatch would have questions. My insurance company would have questions. The pharmaceutical company would definitely have questions. None of them would understand that staying with the truck meant dying, and dying for insulin that was already ruined seemed pointless. Yeah, I said. I need a ride. The rest stop was barely a rest stop, a parking lot and a restroom building and a picnic area that somebody'd optimistically installed decades ago. We pulled in one by one, the survivors of the GW Bridge who'd somehow made it off alive. Roadkill's Peterbuilt, Bedford's Volvo, Tin Man's Subaru running on fumes and prayer. The handful of others whose names I'd learned and immediately started forgetting because learning names meant acknowledging they were people, and acknowledging they were people meant acknowledging that half of them were dead now. We gathered in the parking lot like refugees, which I guess we were. Bedford took charge because somebody had to, and he'd been doing it all day. We need water, food, medical supplies. The rest stop vending machines might have something. After that, we figure out where to go. Home, someone said. I need to get home. Check on my family. Cell service is still down. We don't know what's happening in the cities. Bedford looked at each of us in turn. We don't know if home still exists. Nobody wanted to hear that, but nobody argued. Because deep down we all knew whatever had happened on the GW Bridge was happening everywhere. The infected weren't a local phenomenon. They were an outbreak, maybe a pandemic, maybe the end of the world as we knew it. I checked my phone out of habit. Still no service. The last text from dispatch, news saying GWB is a loss, sat in my outbox, unsent. I typed a new message, made it off the bridge. Truck abandoned at exit 2. I'm alive. Not sure for how long. The message failed to send. Of course it did. Tin Man broke into the vending machines using a tire iron from his trunk. We divided the spoils, stale chips, candy bars, warm soda. A feast for people who'd been running on adrenaline and fear all day. I ate a Snickers bar in 3 bites, barely tasting it, my body demanding calories I couldn't give it fast enough. We can't stay here, Roadkill said between bites of a payday. This is too exposed. We need walls, doors, something we can defend. The Palisades are full of state parks, Raven said. Hiking trails, camping areas. We could find somewhere to hole up, wait for rescue. What rescue? Someone asked. You see any helicopters? Any military? We're on our own. The group fell quiet. The afternoon sun slanted through the trees, peaceful and indifferent. Somewhere south of us, the GW Bridge sat clogged with vehicles and infected and the bodies of people we'd known for 8 hours but not long enough to save. Nightingale was dead. The Honda Pilot driver was probably dead. Half the convoy we'd started with hadn't made it through the toll plaza. We'd survived. That was supposed to feel like victory. It felt like theft instead, like we'd stolen life from people who deserved it just as much as we did, and now we had to live with that weight forever. My daughter, Roadkill said quietly. She's in Teaneck. That's maybe 10 miles from here. I have to try. In what? Bedford asked. Your truck's out of fuel. We're all out of fuel. Then I walk. I don't care. She's 10 years old and she's diabetic and she needs... His voice broke. She needs insulin, the insulin that was on your truck. He looked at me when he said it, accusing, like it was my fault the reefer had failed, my fault we'd needed the diesel more, my fault his daughter might die because we'd made the only choice we could make. I'm sorry, I said, and meant it. I'm sorry about the insulin. I'm sorry we couldn't save it. I'm sorry about all of this. Sorry doesn't help her. I know. We stood there in the rest stop parking lot while the sun sank lower and the shadows grew longer and the world continued ending around us. Eventually Roadkill walked away, heading north up the parkway on foot toward Teaneck and his daughter and insulin that didn't exist anymore. Nobody tried to stop him. What would we say? Stay here and give up hope? Better to let him chase it, even if the chase was futile. Others drifted off too. Raven said she was heading back into Manhattan. She had friends there, people who might need help. Tin Man wanted to check on his family in Jersey City. One by one, the community we'd built over 8 hours of shared survival dissolved into individual desperate journeys. Bedford stayed. So did I, and maybe 3 others whose names I'd already forgotten or never learned. We should rest, Bedford said as darkness fell. Find a building with solid doors, barricade ourselves in, get some sleep. Tomorrow we figure out what comes next. What came next? Like there was a next. Like we hadn't just watched civilization collapse in real time on a bridge over the Hudson River. But Bedford was right, we needed rest, needed sleep, needed to believe that tomorrow would exist and would be worth surviving for. So we found a maintenance building at the edge of the rest stop, forced open the door, and barricaded ourselves inside with whatever furniture we could move. The building had a sink with running water, blessedly, miraculously running water. We drank until we couldn't drink anymore. I found a corner and sat with my back against the wall, my go bag beside me, my phone still showing no service. The maintenance building smelled like oil and metal and fear. Outside, the night was full of sounds I couldn't identify and didn't want to. Inside, Bedford was checking the doors again, making sure the barricades held, making sure we were safe for the next few hours. Safe. What a concept. What a joke. I closed my eyes and saw the GW Bridge, the stretch of suspended roadway, the wandering infected, the FedEx van with Nightingale inside. I saw the Yankees cap guy getting pulled down in the first hour, the Honda Pilot driver trapped while infected clawed at her windows, Roadkill walking north into darkness toward a daughter who might already be dead. We'd survived. We'd escaped. We'd made it off the bridge alive. And I would never forgive myself for it. The diesel gauge in my memory read empty. The temperature alarm was still screaming. The insulin was ruined, the truck was abandoned, and 40 pallets of medication that might have saved lives sat cooking in an aluminum trailer on the side of the Palisades Parkway. I'd been a truck driver for 18 years. No accidents, no violations, perfect safety record. Now I was something else. A survivor, a refugee, a man who'd made impossible choices and lived with them because dying wasn't an option. The maintenance building was quiet except for breathing. Bedford's, Mine, the others. We were alive. For now, for tonight, for whatever tomorrow brought. I didn't sleep. None of us did. We just sat in the darkness and waited for morning and hoped that when dawn came, the world would still be there. It wasn't. But we were. And that would have to be enough.